Thank you. Hi, guys. So, art class. It's time to get creative. Creative in B2C and B2B commerce. We'll try to show you a few innovative use cases to give you some ideas so you can get creative, come up with your own ideas with the objectives to grow sales, to find new revenue streams, to cut costs, and ultimately to stay ahead of the competition. We'll also talk about technology, because to support creative and innovative use cases, you need a strong technology behind the scenes. Spoiler alert, the technology is composable commerce. But we'll speak about that at the end of the presentation. I'll try to explain you what this is all about. But first and foremost, I'd like to share you the story of my beloved backpack. Before we dig into detail, I love that backpack. It's always with me. I first figured out about this backpack 5 years ago. That's when my love story with the backpack started. I was targeted in an original way by the manufacturer of the backpack. Actually, I was just on a photographer website, and this backpack was presented with camera cubes and camera gear in the camera cubes. So I was targeted as a photographer. And when I started to show interest in this backpack, I figured out that depending who you were, how you were segmented, known, and where you were connected, it was presenting you this backpack in different ways. If you are a city breaker, you go to travel website, you see the backpack with packing cubes for your clothes. If you are targeted as a commuter, they will show it to you with laptops and all the small pockets and the small stuff you carry every single day. That's original. This is personalization at its best. It's showing you the backpack in the way you should see it. I like it because it's an all-in-one backpack. It can use for my city breaks, for my business travels, when I go photographing, and that's absolutely fantastic. Look, that's the photographer view of the backpack with camera gear. That's the city breaker view with the clothes in the clothing packing cubes. And this is the commuter view with your daily stuff. So it presents it to you the right way. Because if I'm not a photographer and I see the backpack with camera gear, I'll never buy it. I'll never show interest. So you have to be targeted the right way. And this is how you convert. And this is hyper-personalization. So that's the first thing I found interesting, how they target the customers. And the second thing I wanted to share with you about this backpack is where I bought it. Because actually, I owned, in the last 5 years, 3 different models of this backpack. I bought the V1, I then bought the bigger one, the 40 liters one, and then I went back to the latest generation, smaller 30-liter backpack. And I bought it in Switzerland on the most famous technology website we have. It's a store called Digitech, and this is where I initially bought it. But what's great, and why I bought it on this website, it's because I can resell it at the same place. So when you have a used product, you just go back on the website to your past orders, you list your past orders, you find the product, and you say resell. You describe the state of the product, you choose a price, you're good to go. It's much faster and much more convenient than doing it on eBay. It's also easier for the customers to find your backpack on this website than on eBay, because on eBay you don't have all the technical details. Here you can filter by the size of the backpacks and everything and find them immediately. On eBay you have a bit of everything. So I buy my stuff mostly on this website knowing that I can resell it at the same place. And this is super powerful as a customer. It's also powerful for the store themselves because they build a long-lasting relationship with me. And that's absolutely fantastic. Here you can see the example. You can buy it new or buy it used for a cheaper price. The other interesting thing on this website is that they are selling products that they have in stock. So products they are selling themselves, but they cannot sell absolutely everything. So typically accessories can be sold by third-party sellers. It's a typical marketplace, right? Some products are in stock at third-party locations who are responsible for logistics and everything, but they still take a commission on that sale. So typically, that's accessories for my backpack. They would take a commission, but if you look at the details here, you see it's available at an external supplier. So I wanted to tell you this story, and you will see later on how it relates to the different use cases I'm going to share with you. What this really highlights is the ability with hyper-personalization to increase the conversion rate, right? To generate additional revenues as a store from the resold goods, right? You sell the product once, you take your margin, the customer resells it, you take a commission on it, a commission that typically in B2C would vary between 10 and 15% of the price of the resold good. You make incomes from products from third-party vendors as you grow into a marketplace, and you don't have the hassle of logistics, stocks, and so on and so forth. So it's really convenient as a store. And again, this increases customer loyalty because I come back to resell my products and then I buy again from them and so on and so forth. There are opportunities for every single businesses to grow and find new revenue streams nowadays. Here I highlighted 4 different areas we're going to cover in this short session. And the number one is the demand for sustainable practices. You have opportunities to grow businesses, find revenue streams with sustainable practices. We'll see a few examples. Secondly, there are also opportunities across omni-channel experiences. You can touch base with your customer wherever they are. And we are not talking just about social networks, mobile, laptop. We're also talking about every single connected devices that you have more and more in your homes. The third area where you can come up with innovative use cases is personalized experiences. I just gave you an example with the backpack, but creating hyper-personalized experiences will help increase conversion rate and average cart size. And the fourth area we're going to deep into is obviously the anticipation of AI-driven innovation. Typically, AI, you can do a lot of things. You're familiar with Gen AI nowadays, but you can use AI to cut costs as well, and we'll see a few examples of that. So let's jump into those different areas and see examples of use case we can deal with. So number one, talking about sustainable practices. A very good example is the circular marketplace. The example I gave you with the backpack, where you can buy and resell on the same platform, makes it a circular marketplace, right? But circular marketplaces are not just for used goods. It's also for refurbished, remanufactured, upcycled, recycled products. On a circular marketplace, you can purchase products from your customers, even maybe broken products, so you can repair them, refurbish them, and resell them. How do you pay your customers? If the product is damaged, maybe you give just a small gift card, a discount code, right? Or loyalty points, or whatever. You don't have to give them a big amount, but you can take those products back and reuse them. This is a way to grow your business by having sustainable practices. This helps to extend the product life cycle and reduce the environmental footprint. Obviously, this is also increasing the revenues and earning commissions. When you resell products that you are not owning yourself, it's simplifying the logistics. You are not responsible for shipping, you are not responsible for stocks. Let's see an example of a not-so-circular marketplace. You're an online store, maybe also a physical store, you're selling televisions. You have your customer buying a new television. After a few years, that customer doesn't want that television, doesn't need that television anymore, and wants to resell it. Where are they going nowadays? Mostly on eBay, right? So as a store, it means that when the customer goes on eBay to resell it, you lose that customer. When that customer is going to purchase a new television, might go somewhere else, you lose the relation with the customer. eBay takes that relation. Okay, and ultimately, it is sold to a new end customer. The cash is split, right? The store makes money when it sends the initial product. The customer makes money when it sells it on eBay, and eBay takes the commission. In that case, it's not a circular marketplace. You lose the customer to eBay. In a circular marketplace example, when you buy a new television and you resell it at the same place, the store is making more money. It's making the initial income plus the commission when it's sold to a new end customer, right? And here you are building the customer loyalty, you are boosting customer loyalty. They will come back. also specialized marketplaces. Typically, the electronic store are very good because when you go to eBay, you find absolutely everything, right? You search for backpack, you will get thousands of backpacks. If you go to a store that's specialized, that has the backpacks for the laptops, for the camera gear, and that kind, you can filter by size. Does it fit the airplane's cabin size, for example? You have all those technical details that allow you to find more easily those products. Here you keep the customer and you secure the commission. Go ahead.
Isn't it true that you lose both the original customer, the woman in red, but you also lose the new customer, the guy in blue? So you take that twice.
On the previous example here. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Good call. Yeah, you lose both customers. Yeah, exactly. Good call. Yes, you lose absolutely both. Mm-hmm. And here you're having both in that case. Another example of a marketplace that makes sense when you're thinking of sustainable practices is selling repair parts and accessories. Here, if we shift a little bit to the B2B business, in that case, typically in B2B, manufacturers might sell big machinery, and those machinery, you have to extend the life cycle of their products. So you want to sell repair parts and accessories to your customer. Usually on repair parts, the margins are much higher than on the initial products, right? So selling also the services to repair the machinery, to install the repair parts, this is a business where you can earn money. But what's even more interesting is when you open a marketplace, you can open the marketplace to a third-party parts supplier, right? You sell the parts you manufacture yourself, but you can open the door to your own suppliers so they can sell directly on the platform. And here again, you can earn a commission on their sales. Here you have your own parts that you sell on the marketplace, but also the parts from external suppliers, external sellers. They will make money, but you will take a commission on those sales and make the full amount on this sale. I'm even working with a customer who actually opened their marketplace, not just for external suppliers, but also to competitors. They have their competitors selling on the platform, and they make commissions on products from their own competitors. So they get to learn, 2 seconds, they get to learn who their competitors are, understand their customers, and make money on the back of their competitors. That's absolutely brilliant. Go ahead.
What about the quality of the supplier? It's like, open a way to lose my customer in the...
That's a good question. It's you to decide if you want to open the door to absolutely everybody, or if you want to guarantee a certain level of quality and you want to, I don't know, certify their products, accept people where you're sure they provide good products. It depends on your business, basically. So it's you to make the decision. Are you Amazon and you want to let everybody sell, or do I want to filter and have a certain level of quality accepted? Mm-hmm. There are opportunities when it comes to sustainable practices. It's not just a challenge that you have to stay competitive. You can extend the life cycle of products and still make money and grow your business. And that's, I believe, really important. And it's true in many industries like the clothing industry. If you think of a brand like Superdry, if you go to the physical shops, the flagship stores of Superdry today, you have a section with vintage clothing, where you can buy used clothes, right? You can also do this online. There's no business that's close to that, except when it's perishables, obviously. Shall we talk a little bit about hyper-personalized experiences and the opportunities that come with it? Hyper-personalized experiences will help you increase conversion rates and average cart size. We had the example of the backpack presented in different ways, depending who the audience is. But it's not just about the way you present your products. It's also about tailored promotions. For example, some customers might be more sensible to direct discounts on products. Some others might be more interested in free shipping. Some others in, I don't know, cashback, right? So you can tailor the promotions, the campaigns, the product recommendations. When I say product recommendations, I'm talking about upsells, cross-sells. You can individualize all this. By individualizing, I mean showing different recommendations, different campaigns for every single visitor, for every single prospect or customer, right? Today, you don't have to put people in segments. You can show different things for every single individual. You can also individualize the search results. So 2 people who do the same search with the same keyword, you can show different results. Let me maybe show you a quick example of that based on one of our demo environments. I will run that video. It's a video of a demo environment I have. It's better if it starts from the beginning. Okay, here on this website, there is a search bar at the top. When you click on the search bar without writing everything, it opens a preview search with some products that are displayed based on some business rules that you might have created or based on the past behavior of the customer, right? And if you start doing some searches, this preview search will update, right? If you search for jackets, it shows a few jackets here. If you then search for shoes, for example, it will start showing some shoes. And then if you add a color next to it, like pink, it shows pink shoes, okay? So this is reacting in real time, analyzing your keywords, doing some semantic language understanding, updating the search results. It can be combined with business rules. I want to push on top first products where I have a high level of products in stock, for example. I want to get rid of my stocks. I want those products first. That's an example of a business rule you can create. But if I go further, I click enter, I land on the full page search, and I start to show interest in some of those products. So I start clicking on pink sport shoes, right? Here I have some recommendations. Those recommendations, again, can be based on rules. They can be based on what is the affinity of the customer with those products, what's the link between those products and those ones. For example, those are actually similar products. Similar products are based on attributes analysis. Which products have the same attributes as this one, which products have similar images, because it's able to do image analysis, for example. So it's comparing and finding some similarities. Some are similar because it's sports shoes with the same color. This one is the same model in another color, for example. So those are the similarities, right? But here I'm showing the platform. I'm interested in pink sport shoes, so I click on more of them. That's the second one. And here I'm clicking went too fast to be shown in the recording. Here I'm seeing a third sport shoe. So here I'm really telling the platform I'm interested in pink sport shoes for women. In this example, the platform is building an affinity card for the customer, right? This customer has affinity with those attributes. Every single attribute, every single brand, every single category, every single product is rated for the current customer. You get scores. So here the score for pink, for women, for sports, for shoes is very high, right? So based on that, here I'm erasing the search results, so it goes back to show a clean one. And if you look here, the search results, so no search keyword, it knows all this, so it shows me pink sports shoes there. It reacts in real time. If you remember the first search we did without any keywords, it was a random set of products. And here it's more defined based on my behavior. But if you look, what's interesting now is if I search again for jackets, as I did before, here it shows me jackets. But it knows I'm interested in sports, in the color pink, and in women apparel. So the first products I see on top are sports, jackets, pink. Not shoes anymore, but all the other criteria are taken into account. Why not shoes anymore? Because I searched for jackets. So it learns in real time. And this is hyper-personalization, individualized for every single visitor. Again, another visitor who would have looked at blue products would not see those jackets, would see other ones. Showing relevant content for the customer is really important, because if you show content that is not relevant for them, you're going to lose them. So having the ability to personalize even search result, recommendation, everything is super powerful. I'll pause a second if you have any questions.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you have any numbers showing that the conversion rate or the number of items in cart, etc., increase with this, that it actually is relevant?
Yes, we do have quite a lot of numbers to show that. It's very different from one industry to another, but typically when it comes to clothing, retail, we are around 60% increase in conversion rate straight away when you implement it. then we can obviously have more numbers in different industries and so on and so forth. Obviously, if you're selling cars, it will not increase the same way as when you're selling clothing, right? Another example I wanted to share with you in the third area, talking about multi-channel interactions, getting in touch with your customers wherever they are. As we said, everybody's connected everywhere nowadays, laptop, mobile, social, and so on and so forth. And some people start to have connected devices at home, like connected coffee machines. This is a real story. That's a customer I've been working with for quite some time. They are selling coffee machines, included connected coffee machines, right? We might be asking ourselves nowadays, what is the point in having a connected coffee machine? I'm not going to start brewing my coffee when I'm sitting on the toilet, right? Because I still need to put the cup on the coffee machine. So what's the point in that? But actually, there's a real point to it, because this coffee machine knows how many coffee beans are ordered in the last months. He knows how many coffees are brewed, how much time I use the coffee machine. So having all that information, it knows when it's time to reorder coffee, when I'm short on coffee, and it's time to reorder coffee. So this coffee machine is able to create a hidden cart for me with my coffee beans ready in the cart, right? We are in touch with the customers wherever they are. And this is to improve their experience, because when you're short on coffee, you're happy that the order is done for you. At least in this example, the cart is created, customer gets a notification on its phone, clicks on the notification, lands on the app, reaccesses the cart, and just approves the order. We're using same payment methods, same shipping methods as in previous orders, right? So in this case, the use case is customer has to approve it before the order goes through. Cart is accessed from two different touch points, from the mobile app and from the coffee machine. Another example of this, still the cart created with the coffee beans. It can be an automatic process submitting the order for the customer. Maybe the customer approved coffee to be automatically purchased when it's short on coffee, so it has nothing to do, just maybe getting an email informing the new order has been placed. But in this case, a process is placing the orders entirely automatically. And an example with a bit more touch points. Again, the cart created with the coffee beans. In this case, the customer gets an email, a notification, cart has been created, doesn't interact with the email, he doesn't care about it, doesn't pay attention. But at the same time, the customer is browsing social networks and he sees, I don't know, a campaign telling the customer, look, we are selling great new coffee cups, so accessories to drink your coffee. And he shows interest in those coffee cups. He clicks on the campaign and wants to add the cups to the cart. So when he adds the cups to the cart, and he accesses the cart, he will also see the coffee beans that have been added here. The cart is accessible from multiple devices. And when he accesses that cart, he sees the cups and the coffee beans, and he's like, ooh, that starts to make a lot of money. I don't know if I'm going to purchase or not. So let's stand by. I leave my cart. I quit. Then maybe the day after or 2 days later, he gets a notification on his phone. You have an abandoned cart. Do you want to complete the order with your coffee beans and your cups? And then he can decide, yes, I want to place the order, and running. Yes, I want to place the order, and he will receive his shipping by post the day after or a few days after. We're thinking of some use cases where you can interact with the customers on different devices, learning from the devices, letting the devices place the orders. There are loads of things we can think of. You also have your dishwashers that can be connected nowadays, right? When you're using the automatic powder in the dishwasher, you can reorder the powder for your dishwasher. Same thing. Don't lose the customers. With that, you stay connected to your customers. You provide a great experience. You build on loyalty, and you trigger new orders and more orders. Because if you don't do that, they might buy the coffee in the supermarket, and you lose the customer. Same, when the coffee machine needs a service, you can tell the customer, time to book your service. Pick a date for the service of your coffee machine. Fourth topic. We could spend days talking about AI, obviously. A few examples how AI can help you. Optimizing stock levels. Stocks are a hassle because sometimes you have not enough stock and you lose orders when there's nothing in stock, or sometimes you have way too much stock, you don't know what to do with it, and you have to do promotions to get rid of your stock, right? AI is a big help to that nowadays. You can connect AI to your commerce platform. You can analyze all the orders. AI can understand the cycles, the seasonality of the orders, right? Can see if your customer base is growing or decreasing, can understand everything that's happening, and then plan the stocks you need and tell you you will need that amount of stock in September, that amount in October, and so on and so forth. Use that data so you're ready. You have the right stock levels at the right moment. Anticipate. Second example, triggering new orders. In B2B, customers often order the same products in different cycles. Let AI understand the purchase cycles of your customers and create the cart for them, like the coffee machine did. Create the cart for them, right? Automatically. Tell them it's time to reorder whatever product they need or whatever consumable they need to replace. Tell them it's time and create the cart for them. So they just have to approve it. Increase average cart size, increase conversion rates. Use AI to do that. The examples I gave you earlier with individualized search and recommendations have actually AI behind it. AI can analyze the customer behavior like it did in the example. It creates those affinity cards for the customer. And this helps to individualize the search results. There is AI behind it. And this will help you to grow the business, the sales, the conversion rate, the average cart size. Do you guys in the room have some ideas how to use AI for your business? Is there an idea you want to share? There's so many possibilities. We've all experienced AI in different ways nowadays. Obviously, I didn't list it here, but creating your content, translating your contents, creating the imagery, right? The copy, everything. AI can do that for you. And this is also saving time for people who are responsible for the content. I have no clue how much time I took so far, but I won't have for long anymore. But the technology topic is really important. If you want to test new use cases, if you want to innovate, if you want to experiment, you need a technology that allows you to do so in an agile way, right? And to explain you the type of technology that can support this, I'm going to go through the history of the architecture of commerce solutions. Some of you might already be familiar with that. That is the evolution of commerce architecture. This is the good old monolith. The commerce platform used to be one block, everything in that block. This is rigid. Why? Because when you want to do changes, when you want to customize, when you want to connect to other systems, you have to go inside the monolith. You have to code inside the monolith with a huge risk of side effects, risk of bugs. When you also customize that monolith, it makes the upgrades very difficult because you have to retest everything when you upgrade. This is challenging, this is rigid. All the commerce vendors moved away from this to this. They created a headless layer on top to disconnect the storefronts and give some design flexibility to the storefronts. Here, with this approach, you can customize the storefronts more, but behind the scenes, you still have that monolith, that rigid monolith, difficult to customize, difficult to upgrade. You need to really understand how it works to customize it. But the most recent solutions are composable. That's the flexible solutions, right? You cannot evolve from this to this. This requires a rebuilding from scratch, right? So only the most modern platforms really have this architecture. You still have that headless layer with the flexible designs for your storefront, so you can do whatever you want. You're not limited by templates, but behind the scenes, instead of one big monolith, you have those tiny services, right? Those services might be the services provided by the commerce platform. Typically orders, carts, users, buyers, suppliers, promotions, etc. But it can also be your own services. You can add services to here. You can add an AI service. You can add a search service. You can add a content service. You can develop your own services if you want to. So you can plug in existing services or other ones. So when you customize, you never go inside one of the blocks. You never go inside one of the services. You create a new service. So you extend and connect from outside. And this is super powerful. It provides flexibility. I'll explain to you a bit more about that. And I'll explain you why in a few seconds, how this will help you to innovate and test new use cases. Here, you have a 2D view of the same architecture. On 3D on the previous slide, you have the headless layer and all the tiny blocks below, right? Those tiny blocks are called microservices. They talk within one another via API calls. Is everyone familiar with API call around here? Raise your hands. I see a lot of yes. Very good. Fantastic. So all the blocks, all the services, they talk within one another via API calls, and they also talk with the heads. So the heads are your applications, your websites, your storefronts, your mobile apps. They also use the different services via API calls. Can use any of the services. This is composable. You pick and choose the services you want to use. Here in blue, those provided by a commerce platform like ours. You pick and choose those you want to use. You ignore the other ones. And you can add your own. And to give you an example, a few examples actually, you can add a service that is ERP integration. If you want to push the orders to the ERP, you can also use an integration platform for that, obviously. That's an example of a custom service. Another example is a personalization tool. Right? If you want to provide personalized experiences, commerce is responsible for everything transactions. But if you want to personalize the experience, typically show the backpack in different ways for different customers, you will need a personalization engine, and you can add that service. And you can add a service for recommendations. Remember the recommendation block? You can add a service for that, for search, for content. And again, it can be existing services from other platforms or your own services that you create yourself. And here, typically, an example, when you start to introduce AI, you want a data lake that stores pushes all the data from all the services together, so you can use AI to analyze it, and maybe your AI service connects also to ChatGPT because that's the AI service you want to use. You think that ChatGPT is the best one for your use case, maybe you would choose Gemini for another use case. So you add your own blocks. This is a flexible architecture. And yeah.
Many of those blue squares are, in my opinion, traditional parts of an ERP system.
Traditional, sorry?
Part of an ERP system. But is it what you're saying here, that you maybe can use different suppliers or systems for prices or orders?
You can. The big difference, that's a very good question. Actually, the difference with an ERP system, the blocks you have here and those you have in an ERP system, is mostly that this is scalable to work on the web in real time. With an ERP, you will struggle mostly to send prices in real time and so on. So you might decide to actually take your prices from the ERP and create them here, right? If your ERP is fast enough and you want to leave the prices on the ERP and call them live from the ERP, that's not a problem. In this approach, that's composable. So instead of using those prices, you will have your green block that takes the prices from the ERP directly. No problem. Sorry? Not at all. I would not say that, because obviously you have all the financial side of things, consolidation for consulting, and no. So I would not recommend getting rid of an ERP at all. But sorry? It depends. I would say it depends from one business to another. There's not a single answer to that. Usually the ERP is the reference for the prices. But we know, I'll tell you something. We have many customers who struggle with the lack of flexibility of the ERPs, and they tend to use those services instead of what they should use in the ERP. I'll give you an example. Real-time stock. This has become a hassle in the ERPs, having stock in real time. So we have customers who use this as the master data for stocks instead of using the ERP. But this is more due to the limitations of the ERP they have implemented than for a real business reason. So it's more a workaround than a clean solution, I would say. But you can choose. You always have You can choose what. This is, again, truly composable. So I want prices here, I want them in the RP, I want a copy in both places. That's perfectly fine. That's composable. And those services, and that's really important, they are hosted on the cloud. And when they are hosted on the cloud, you are not responsible. Customers are not responsible for security, for performance. This scales automatically. It's updated automatically. So you have no upgrades to do anymore. Upgrading from Commerce V6 to V7, that's finished. With that architecture, upgrades are automatic, transparent, you have nothing to do. We know that commerce businesses spend 40% of their investment in just keeping the platforms up to date with the latest version. You don't need to do that anymore. This is always up to date. Always on, always up to date. It's scaled for performance for thousands of orders per minute, so that's not an issue. The question you're going to ask me, how do we move to this? Actually, I'll jump one slide. Do we have to re-platform? Do we have to ditch our commerce solution to replace it by a composable commerce solution? No, you don't have to go through a full re-platforming. This is typically a customer having a commerce monolith with a headless layer. Do I have to ditch all this and move to composable? No, you can go step by step. And this is where you see the power of composability. Example, first step could be, I keep the catalogs here, I keep the prices here, I keep the users here, but I move the orders to one of the composable services. So when the user checkouts from the headless layer, the order is created here. This service will have the ability to sync any data needed with the monolith and can also sync with the ERP or whatever. But you can move block by block. And if you move this block first, you might be able to connect an AI service that interacts with the orders here. You don't have to go with all the blocks at once. And over time, you will decide, okay, now for whatever reason, I need the catalogs, I need to do some updates or have some ideas around catalogs. I use the catalog service. And then I take catalogs away from here to here. And maybe then after it will be promotions and prices and so on and so forth. So you don't have to go through a full replatforming to use the benefits of a composable architecture.
I can see very much of the flexibility with the composable architecture. But on the other hand, I see also a lot of costs. So I mean, keeping all of that together compared to maybe buying a full package software as a service where you get regular updates, you don't need to care so much about it. Can you elaborate a bit on the cost perspective and also the maintenance perspective of keeping it all together? How do you make sure everything is compatible over time, so not one component here is breaking other things?
That's the power. So typically in the example of Psycho Order Cloud, our commerce solution, we publish only non-breaking changes. This architecture allows us to publish only non-breaking changes, meaning we publish releases every single week, and it doesn't break anything you built on your side, because we don't modify features, we add features on top. So the new features are available, use them, you ignore them, but it won't break anything, meaning that maintenance is very low, because when we release stuff, again, we do that almost every week, you have nothing to test. Maintenance is super low. Upgrades are automatic. You have nothing to test. That's the biggest cost saving you can imagine. The other cost saving is around hosting, because all this is hosted on the cloud, as SaaS, on multi-tenant environments, meaning the cost is split between all the customers. So it's much cheaper to host than to have your own PaaS environments or your own environments on premises. So this is much cheaper. When you have a bit of a initial cost, if you go through a full replatforming and you go with all services at once, you have an initial cost that you have to take into account, right? But it's the initial one, and if you go step by step, you don't have that problem, because what you save on maintenance, on hosting, will completely compensate the investment you're doing on the other side, and by far. Did I answer your question? Happy to chat about it. But again, no upgrades. Upgrades are automatic. It's just, in our case, it's just new features. It doesn't change the behavior of the existing features. So when the upgrades come, you can close your eyes, you have nothing to do.
How about customizations?
customizations, this is where it's powerful, and this is what allows us to update the platform, is that if you do a customization on orders, you don't do changes inside the service. Never. You create your own service with your own customizations. And this is why automatic upgrades are possible. So typically, customizations are extensions to the platform. So you would create your own service for that.
So I can break them in your environment?
No. No. You host your own, you are responsible for your own services. Exactly. And this also gives you your IP, because your own services are your own intellectual property. So it's good that you own them, you are responsible for them, and you host them.
Yeah, may I have like answer about like about the cost about the composable services? As like I can say as software engineer, like when we like maintain something like crashed or like something in monolithic like architecture style, is gonna cost like at the time there is like costly. So like it's hard to find that like the bug or like what happened in the monolithic, but like in the microservices, it's like much easier like to handle like the bug happened like in which server.
In which service is not responding or providing an error, yeah.
But like in the costing, it's more like, so you say it's like about the hosting and the cloud. Yeah, that is.
Very good. I think we should continue the conversation after, because I'm out of time. I'm sorry, but I'm happy to continue with anybody. Just a quick recap, actually it's the conclusion. Embed sustainability at the core. Sustainability is the future. The planet needs that, we need that, we all need that, and it's an opportunity to grow. Use the different channels where you can stay in touch with your customers. Any channel, get data from wherever you can. Use that data, be respectful of customer data, obviously. Personalize the experiences. AI, I mean, so many things to talk about it. And the replatforming thing. You don't have to go through a full replatforming if you want to move to composable commerce. And this will give you the agility to test your ideas, to test your use cases, and so on and so forth. Thank you.